I've kind of quit calling myself a teacher. I have these relationships with students where, a big part of my responsibility is kind of helping them navigate where they currently are and where they're going. I'm trying to create the classroom that I wish I'd had when I was in high school.
When I was in Mike's class, it felt more like mentoring than teaching. It gave trust in the students, and then the students actually wanted to be good at what they're doing.
And then it kind of makes a more dynamic kind of learning experience.
You're always free to explore what you want to do, and you're not bound to follow a certain curriculum.
And so the idea behind this internship experiment that I'm kind of running is finding a way for both myself and my students to get into engineering and design firms, architecture firms, and use the summer to get some real-world experience with these different disciplines that they can then take into their next steps, and then I can bring back to my classroom. This summer, I've brought in 4 of my students to team up with NEC Architecture.
So Mike contacted me this summer and asked me if I wanted to do this internship with NEC Architecture.
We are designing a new space within the Mount Si High School.
And we're taking charge of designing the CTE SLC, so the career technology portion of the school.
We're going to be designing the space.
And how the space and the curriculum can fit together.
And we also want to include collaboration between the classrooms.
I think the thing that I'm most nervous about is probably presenting the work, to be honest.
I want to be more successful in working as a team throughout this internship.
This whole experience will push me to go out of my comfort zone because I'm working with adults.
We're going to be talking with clients and working with real architects, and we have to know real life stuff. So.
And then last I'll introduce you to the Mount Si team, which is with whom you'll end up spending more time.
NEC is really genuinely passionate about creating meaningful learning environments that are going to have a positive impact on anybody who walks through that door. I mean, I love having the students here, and I'm so excited to see what their final deliverable is because they bring such a unique, creative perspective to this whole process.
The internship so far has been really fruitful.
We are sitting down almost one-to-one to an architect who are experienced. So I think these are precious opportunities.
They really picked up a lot of the terminology and the ways that architects describe and talk about aspects of design. It's one thing to have an idea and say what you want the result to be, say what your goal is, but then to express that in architecture, it's a very specific vocabulary. How do we represent our ideas so that they are easily understood by a professional?
Brian kind of came in and told us that the client was going to be coming in and that we would have to present alongside the Mount Si team.
There were probably 12 people in the room, and the executive committee of the school board was sitting right in the front row.
I was pretty nervous at first, but they really liked our idea.
And they're asking questions that we didn't really expect them to be asking.
But afterwards, we really kind of took what those questions were and applied them to our designs.
I think the result is that we are working towards a better option.
I'd say we're about 50% done.
It's going to be a lot of work.
I think we're going to do okay.
So I think Laura is just going to begin a conversation on our interior space.
This would have the main tools that would need to be in a secure area or bolted down.
So this is kind of the 3D rendering from Revit.
Kind of promotes the competitive aspect.
So these two designs are pretty similar. They are all very industrial looking. When you stand on this side, you can see the mount side here.
We think our CTE floor is pretty groundbreaking, right?
So the final presentation went pretty well. I presented the interior and kind of the things that would be incorporated in the space.
We wanted to create a more immersive experience as you walk in.
But we had like a rough idea that we wanted it to kind of stand out from the other buildings.
Definitely not the mainstream.
And then it just turned into a conversation about why we did it that way.
I think there might be a potential that they will further develop our ideas and turn it into actual design, so I'm really excited.
I think what made the experience real was the opportunity to present our work at the end. You know, this was just a real world experience.
At first I thought working in the firm would be really scary. It turns out that everyone in the company was really nice.
It was a great way to spend the summer in NAC. They really took us seriously, and instead of focusing on the technical aspect, they were encouraging us to think like an architect.
Just overall, this was a great experience.
They're really fun, exciting people who all have stories, and they're all really passionate.
So I think the way Mike kind of teaches is almost the future in itself.
He was less teacher and more peer, even in high school.
When you hear people talk about what they remember from high school, it's very rarely the content, it's more the relationships. And so I wasn't necessarily teaching them anymore. We were all doing it together, but yet we were still learning. It was as if the project was doing the teaching, not me. I guess the future of education for me, the environment in which I would be excited to be working in 10, 15 years from now would be one where our central mission is to develop lifelong learners. So ultimately, that's what I'd like to see for the future.